The beast man is a concept that stretches far into the history of the human race. The natural and fearful fear of the dark, the nocturnal horrors that hunt both man and creature alike, perhaps even extending into ourselves as an explanation for the bestial urges and intrusive thoughts felt by everyone at some point or another. When we think of a beast man, what certainly comes to mind is the werewolf. Popular culture has brought the idea of werewolves to the forefront, whether you're hunting them down in games like Bloodborne or rocking along to their escapades in London. The werewolf myth pervades our collective unconscious. However, behind all the Hollywood lights and digital heroes, where does the werewolf legend begin? Charlotte Otten's The Lycanthropy Reader, written in 1986, gives us an interesting insight into the history of werewolves. It is here that we can read that the first known use of the word werewolf dates back as far as the 11th century to King Canute of England's court. However, the concept of humans changing into beasts, wolves especially, extends even further back, at least into Greek mythology, with the transformation of Lycaon and his sons into wolves after feeding human flesh to Zeus. Back then, the idea of a man changing into a wolf at the sight of the full moon was not synonymous with the term werewolf. Instead, werewolves were cursed souls, either claimed by Satan himself or turned into wolves by evil stepmothers or spurned lovers. Despite the religious stigma that came with lycanthropy, ye old physicians still tried to catalog and identify the disease. Otten's work looks back at the 16th century physicians who worked with those thought to be afflicted with being a werewolf. It is thought that the condition, in reality, is a mix of malnutrition and a condition called porphyria that interferes with the production of hemoglobin in the blood, causing sensitivity to the sun and even blistering when exposed to sunlight. Mental conditions like schizophrenia are delusions caused by the hallucinogens and the medications and salves used by 16th century physicians also explain the mindset that the victims presented. Otten mentions the 17th century French historian Simon Goulart, who recorded an event of mass werewolf hysteria in Livonia. That's what we would call Estonia and Latvia today. This same event was also expanded upon in the article The Christmas Werewolf by Anna Franklin in 2010. Both writings echo the same sentiment. A horde of townsfolk were, allegedly, enraptured for 12 days around Christmas. This horde was taken by what they described as a man of Satan, and they were whipped with iron chains until they underwent a metamorphosis into what we would call werewolves. They all engaged in cattle mutilation and other unholy activity until after the 12 days of Christmas were up and the mass hysteria ended. The townsfolk recalled having their souls taken by the devil and placed into the bodies of wolves. The validity of this account and the idea of what truly happened are of course up to interpretation. Mass hysteria events are commonplace along the tapestry of humanity. The 12 days of Christmas also fall upon the winter solstice, when daylight is at its minimum. Is this a case of demonic intervention, an old fairy tale, or a true telling of a horde of people gone mad in the cold and dark of winter? Nowadays, we have, for the most part, ended the concept of a long and scary winter night. We have access to light at the flick of a switch. Our roads are lit by street lights, and in any given town you can find windows lit by lamps and businesses staying open late into the night. The tales of beastmen and demonic abduction are just that, tales. Still, we can't help but feel the hair on the back of our necks stand up when we venture into the untamed woods with only our campfires and tents to keep the creatures of the night at bay. Campfire tales and urban legends are where tales of werewolves thrive now. You need only to look at the American Midwest. Let's go now to the town of Elkhorn, Wisconsin. More specifically, Bray Road. Bray Road is a simple rural road, cutting lines between farm fields and patchy woodland. In the daylight, you might drive or jog down this road without a second thought. Locals may advise caution, though, as since the 1930s a large creature, dubbed the Bray Road Beast, has been sighted in the area. Sightings picked up in the 1980s and extended into the 90s. Witnesses attest to a large, wolf-like beast hunting along the road both day and night, feasting on roadkill and making easy meals of farm animals. Some even say the beast attacked them, gouging their car with hardened claws. Austin Harvey illuminates some eyewitness accounts in his allthat'sinteresting.com article, The Legend of the Beast of Bray Road, the wolf-like creature said to prowl the Wisconsin countryside. From this, we can gather that the first sighting took place in 1936, when a night watchman at a local school saw what he described as a large wolf, reeking of fetid meat, crossing the surrounding fields and hanging around a Native American burial mound. The beast went quiet for a time, until in 1989 when a woman named Lori and Rizzi saw the beast, lanky-armed and unafraid, tearing at roadkill in the wee hours of the morning. Just like stories of old, Lori described the creature as a werewolf, and specifically one which gave off an aura of the demonic. To this day, locals in Elkhorn will attest to the existence of the beast. Looking eastward across Lake Michigan, we move to the Mitten State of Michigan. The northern regions of the state all lay claim to what they refer to as the Michigan Dogman. The folklore of this beast is elaborated on in the MysteriousMichigan.com article, The Legend of the Michigan Dogman. Our story begins when a radio DJ writes a song about the Dogman as an April Fool's Day joke in 1987. The Dogman was, apparently, first seen in the late 1800s by lumberjacks, and from then on, sightings have pervaded the state, with anyone from clergy to sailors reporting sightings of packs of wild dogs led by one large beast capable of standing on hind legs. To this day, the legend of the Dogman remains. That same Mysterious Michigan article lists eyewitness accounts from as late as 2011, people swearing they saw a hulking beast eating from their dog's food bowl or lumbering across fields of crops. The idea of man-like beasts is one of as much wonder as it is fear. It's the last vestige of our instinctual need to survive. We close our eyes at night and picture flared fangs and glowing eyes because, if left to the elements, the very real creatures of the night would no doubt be just beyond the tree line, staring at us. We create our own frameworks to explain our fears. Vile people being cursed by the devil to become an icon of rampant hunger, or mysterious cryptids haunting our country roads, capable of disrupting our pacified way of life, even if only around a campfire. In this way, werewolves do exist. We may not run into them in person, but their iconography and mythology are so entwined in our stories and how we think that we will them into existence, just beyond the tree line, and the dark shadows beyond the reach of the fires and the streetlights that we built to keep the creatures of the night at bay. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. If you want to show your support, leave a comment below suggesting a future topic, and subscribe to see what topics get covered next.